Hello and welcome to our last show of the semester. Today we have more information on the controversial changes to the password and security to our student portals.
We also have the full story of what's happening in North Korea.
We have all that and more on this episode of Bear News.
Don't go anywhere.
Now, we've briefly covered the UNC's new password requirements a few weeks ago, but many of you told us you weren't happy with the changes. So we wanted to learn more about this and other security-related shortcomings. Bear News reporter Logan Garcia is hot on the case and here to tell us more.
Choosing a new password got a little more difficult a couple months ago when the Office of Information Security started requiring students to reset their passwords every 365 days. UNC's cybersecurity team says the change was to make student accounts more resilient against compromises, and, as a result, they also increased the password requirements. They now need to be at least 12 characters in length, up from the previous 9, and must also contain 3 of the 4 other required components, which are uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. But you might have had trouble resetting your password going off just those guidelines alone. Turns out, there are other requirements they don't tell you about, like not being able to start your password with a number or special character, or that you can't include any part of your name. Matt Langford, Chief Information Security Officer here at UNC, said they haven't heard many complaints about the new guidelines.
When we make these kind of changes, students typically talk amongst themselves. Occasionally, they mention it to a faculty or staff member. But typically what they don't do is contact us in any way. They don't contact the IM&T department. They don't call our support center.
It sounds like we should be lucky though, as faculty and staff have it a little harder.
The faculty have an account expiration that requires the same rule set, but they only get to keep their accounts for, I believe it's 270 days. IM&T staff have even more rigorous. We have a 16-character password length, and ours are only good for 180 days.
All these requirements had us thinking, are we really better off creating more complex passwords? The buzz in the industry doesn't quite agree. Some say that requiring more complex passwords makes it easier for the bad guys and harder for legitimate people. That train of thought is according to Paul Grassi, Senior Standards and Technology Advisor at the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Now a part of the U.S. Department of Commerce, NIST is one of the oldest physical science laboratories, and they try to promote innovation and industrial competitiveness. They also release guidelines on cybersecurity, and their newest guidelines released last year, while geared towards federal agencies, are also widely adopted in other organizations. Microsoft also releases guidelines for customers using their Active Directory product, which UNC does, and they align pretty closely to those from the NIST. Essentially, both say to remove complexity and expiration requirements and enable multi-factor authentication, or the need to enter a separate, randomly generated token with each login. Microsoft says that excessive length passwords, greater than about 10 characters, can result in user behavior that is predictable and undesirable. For example, users who are required to have a 16-character password may choose repeating patterns like 4444 or password that meet the character length requirement but are clearly not hard to guess. They also note current research shows that forcing mandatory password changes, while a long-standing security practice, actually has a negative effect. Through research, they found that users don't choose a new independent password, but rather choose to update their current one. Microsoft also says that requiring an arbitrary password reset every certain number of days doesn't prevent an attacker from using a stolen password immediately. Here's Langford's reasoning for making UNC passwords expire.
The reason it expires is really to prevent folks from keeping one password across all their accounts.
And when it comes to users not choosing an entirely new password,
I would think that is generally correct. However, when it kind of comes to that, so say I don't put any guidance on there and allow it to, not that it doesn't expire, right? But say I put that guidance on that says you can have it for 3 years. I'm going to be in no different a situation or permanent, right? And then you're going to have a 10-character password, with that guidance that's simple for someone to crack.
He also said that he thought the guidelines were more focused on phishing rather than a data breach.
So this isn't a defense against phishing, which is kind of, in my opinion, where people are kind of writing this guidance from, is to kind of take into account the most likely place that it's stolen. This is, people just give that away. There's nothing I could have a 60-character password requirement. People would still give it away. This is about making sure that if a hash is stolen, it can't be solved. If another account is compromised.
Regardless, the point still stands that once a password is compromised, there's a good chance it's going to be used fairly quickly. Both the NIST and Microsoft go one step further with their recommendations and say to do away with knowledge-based authentication. You know, those wacky security questions you need to provide on your URSA account, like what was the name of your first pet? Finding the answers to these questions, as it turns out, is quite easy simply by doing a little research or through reverse engineering. Questions asking someone about the first street you grew up on might already be public information. Langford said they're looking at implementing two-factor authentication, but don't want to make it a burden for students, and the university's current budget situation draws much larger concerns.
And that's always a fight I have to fight, right, as a security person, is I'm always trying to get resources to do things in a more secure way that's easier for our users to use. The short answer is, I believe we will have the licensing to do multi-factor. It is coming, and the only thing that we're trying to sort out right now is how we can make it have the least amount of impact on our users.
Credit Bureau Experian found a few years ago that millennials had nearly 40 online services registered to a single email address and only 5 distinct passwords. Langford said that the requirements they've implemented are designed primarily to prevent students from choosing the same password on every site they use.
Is that what we began to find is that students in particular, because of the flexibility they had with their password, what would happen is they would come here, 3, 4, 5, 12 years, and they would get a password, they would set, and it would be the same as all of their other account passwords. So
the chance of a student using their BearMail email address for another service, we think, would be quite slim. Many incoming and current students already have accounts using their personal email addresses and choose to continue using them. In today's day and age, you have probably received an tempting phishing email. Believe it or not, UNC makes it super easy for anyone to impersonate a faculty or staff member. We were able to do it fairly easily, and unfortunately, that means anyone with an app like this one that we downloaded for free, can send emails as someone else. We tested this internally and found that anyone could impersonate President K. Norton in your email inbox, something that could have dire consequences. There are many tools email administrators can implement to prevent these types of attacks, but Langford said the stakes are too high for them to start using these features.
But, we truly do have a number of business practices that prevent us from just making that decision off the cuff.
We've seen this problem for years, and Langford says he's still trying to solve it.
So I don't want you to feel like I'm saying it's not important to try to resolve that issue, because it absolutely is, and it is absolutely on my radar to solve.
Researchers at Florida State University, cybersecurity firm Red Jack, and technology giant Cisco found that many policy mechanisms are hampered by an ill-defined understanding of their actual effectiveness against real attack techniques. So for the time being, it looks like we'll just have to wait and see how this pans out. Thankfully though, they've made the process relatively easy to reset your password if it expires or if you forget it. All you need to do is visit the account activation and reset portal from any sign-in window. Finding answers to your questions, I'm Logan Garcia, BearNews.
Matt Langford said he hadn't heard any concerns about the new password requirements, but is always available to answer questions. Is there something else bothering you? Tell us about it at BearNews.tv.
Tensions are thawing between North and South Korea after Kim Jong-un made a surprising announcement. Reporter Courtney Lockie has more.
Thanks, Ashley. Over the weekend, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un announced the suspension of his nuclear and intercontinental ballistic missile testing programs. In a statement, he said he feels that the nuclear site has completed his mission and operations are now suspended at these sites. Kim Jong-un has worked for many years to perfect an intercontinental missile that has the capacity of reaching the U.S. mainland. Now his focus turns to economic growth and bettering relations in the international community. This announcement comes ahead of a meeting between North and South Korea about the demilitarized zone between the countries. Back to you.
The countries have been at war for nearly 70 years, and this marks the third meeting between the two Koreas.
Without a doubt, many people are concerned about the university's financial situation. Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer Michelle Quinn spoke to Student Senate last week to clarify a few questions about the deficit. Besides needing to pull money from their savings account and cover costs, Quinn said they're trying to figure out how to increase income. Of course, one of these is increasing enrollment and retention. Quinn said that isn't a bad retention rate, but there's always room for improvement. And there's a little good news. This $9.2 million deficit is now down to $6 million. We'll continue to keep you updated. It's been mostly sunny but windy this week in Greeley, with more sun expected for the next few days. What are the current conditions, Mackenzie?
Hi, I'm Mackenzie. Hi, I'm meteorologist Mackenzie Lake. And for our current conditions right now, we are looking at a temperature of 61 degrees with winds at 13 miles an hour. At 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, we're going to see temperatures of 41 degrees, 49 degrees at 9 a.m., and 55 degrees at 10 a.m. This is a live look on campus right now. As you can see, skies are partly cloudy, but overall a really nice day. Stay tuned.
We all know how the saying goes, April showers, bring May flowers. Well, if you're in Colorado, you might be saying something about the April snow that nearly 600 people braved in support of female student athletes on Saturday. In spite of the snow, UNC's 10th annual Women's Walk brought in more than $25,000. Men and women alike came together and marched at the event. Ages varied, as the event is meant to be a fun, family-friendly way to connect with UNC student athletes, coaches, staff, and alumni. Before the walk commenced, people could walk about inside and either get their picture taken, enjoy the healthy breakfast, or play fun games on the side. The walk started at 9 and finished at about 9:30. Some people walked inside around the perimeter of the basketball court, but mostly everyone braved the stormy weather together. Out of the nearly 600 people who walked, 250 of them were student athletes. Every UNC sports team was accounted for and helped direct people through the walk. That included encouraging hosts, hoots and hollers, as well as high fives as marchers walked by. The event ended by honoring Diana and Meenan Bergman, as well as Jenny Shoup. Diana and Meenan are longtime supporters of the UNC community, and Jenny is one of the main persons who had the idea to start the Women's March 10 years ago. UNC added a twist to the event this year as they had what was called the Claus Kids Dance, where kids, student athletes, and the crowd all danced to a song. The dance was a fun way to end the event with plenty of smiles all around. With any luck, you are not too addicted to that Starbucks coffee you get every afternoon. On May 29th, Starbucks won't be able to help you with your afternoon pick-me-up. In the aftermath of the controversial arrest of 2 African-American men at Starbucks in Philadelphia, the company will close all of their United States locations for a mandatory day of racial bias training. But the company's hasty response caused division amongst the baristas. Some say the training can create positive change, while others think it's just a PR stunt. The shutdown will affect more than 8,000 locations nationwide for an afternoon. But the company is likely to lose a few regular customers after an incident like this.
We'll have your full weather forecast coming up, and after the break, we'll have a look into a unique way that technology might play a part in helping athletes at UNC.
Looking for some fun summer activities to get you outside? We'll have a look at what Outdoor Pursuits offers this summer after the break.
All right, give me a spot. You know my motto, safety first.
They could be dangerous. I think we should call animal control.
Animal control?
To be safe.
Don't worry.
Just...
I got this. It's a new motto.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Michaela Lucero. Right now in Greeley, we're at 54 degrees, Loveland at 56, and Boulder also at 54. Here on campus, we're at 61 degrees with winds at 13 miles per hour, which is making it feel more like 59 degrees. The country is really heating up right now. Places in Nevada and Arizona at almost 100 degrees, and even North and South Dakota are getting up to the 70 degrees. Tomorrow, Colorado's going to warm up and be in the 70s. Northern Colorado at 70, Denver will be at 65, and Pueblo will be at 60. The winds in Greeley have started to calm down, but Pueblo still has winds up to 35 miles per hour. The record high for today is 86, the record low is 23, and the average is 44. Tonight, Denver will be at 25 degrees, northern Colorado at 35, and Pueblo also at 35. Here on campus, we'll have a low of 32, but it'll feel more like 30 because of the 3-mile-per-hour winds. Tomorrow morning, we'll have a sunrise at 6:03 a.m. with temperatures at 32 degrees. Then we'll have a sunset at 7:50 with temperatures at 62 degrees. 32 at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, 64 by noon, and 71 at 6 p.m. I've got a beautiful 5-day forecast. Friday and Saturday will be in the 70s, all the way up to 81 on Sunday, 72 on Monday, and 67 with a chance of rain on Tuesday. Now, the radar's looking pretty calm over Colorado, a little bit of cloud cover, but I have a treat for you. This is the GOES satellite. GOES stands for Geostationary Operational Environmental Satellite, but it's easier to just say GOES. Now, this shows really clear images of different clouds that cover all the United States. It's great for predicting severe weather like tornadoes and hurricanes, but for today, it's great to just look at the clouds. If we look at the future radar, Colorado looks clear heading into the weekend. Saturday it'll be sunny, but we'll have some clouds rolling in the evening, and they'll keep our evening temperatures warm. Back to you.
Could computers help improve your athletic performance? BearNews reporter Luke Mullins takes us into the biomechanics lab to explain how animation is helping some UNC athletes assess their abilities.
Nestled away in Gunter Hall is a sports and exercise lab with a unique purpose. Recently, UNC volleyball star and BearNews reporter Courtney Lockie paid a visit to the biomechanics lab. Teaching assistant Nathan Roby explained how the technology works.
So essentially what we do is we measure human movement. So we have about 10 cameras in this room that emit an infrared light, and they reflect off of little markers that we will attach to the person on their limbs at specific kind of landmarks that then are used to kind of generate a skeleton of that individual, which we then kind of do all our calculations off of.
Lockie participated in balance tests on both legs while the infrared cameras took in the data. The information gained from the test will be assessed and sent to volleyball head athletic trainer Jimmy Adele. These scores will be compared to their scores from the team test again in June. Reporting from Gunter Hall, this is Luke Mullins, BearNews.
The lab doesn't just help athletes. They've also worked with people recovering from injuries.
The University of Northern Colorado's Outdoor Pursuits program provides opportunities for outdoor education and leadership experiences through trips and workshops. The program tries to bring students who have a passion for the outdoors and adventure together in one community. Employee Cosme Martinez listed some of the events the program has in store for the summer.
This summer we have whitewater kayaking, whitewater rafting, camp and hiking 14ers, backpacking, and you can definitely come in and check those dates out on our whiteboard.
The Gear Shop is a great resource if you're looking to take a trip but don't have the right equipment. From bikes to coolers to snowshoes, they have it all. Outdoor Pursuits is open all summer for students to rent gear to enhance their summer experience.
What would Greeley be like without its folk and bluegrass? And what's more, you can get a degree in it. The University of Northern Colorado School of Music hosted a bluegrass concert last Thursday night to showcase the bluegrass student musical talents. Bluegrass is a form of American roots music that is influenced by the Appalachia. It has mixed roots in Irish, Scottish, and English traditional music. To simplify, bluegrass includes a lot of fiddle, mandolin, banjo, and some country twang. At 8 p.m. in Kepner Hall, the band captivated their audience, and people couldn't help but tap their feet and nod along to the catchy song. The bluegrass crew took turns showing their talent, singing their songs, and strumming their guitars all evening. UNC School of Music added the bluegrass program in the fall, but you have to apply and audition before entry. If you don't own a fiddle or sing like Carrie Underwood, not to worry. The program hosts many concerts, just like this one throughout the year, that you can enjoy. You can go online to UNC School of Music homepage for more information.
The University Program Council is bringing slam poetry to campus. Tuesday night, award-winning poet and author Frequency hosted an open mic night at the University Center. Students took the stage to slam lines, rhymes, and verses about everything from gender identity to being bilingual. Each poetry slam has 3 rounds where poets receive scores from a panel of judges. The judges score each poem on a scale of 1 to 10, and the poet with the highest score advances to the next round. After 3 rounds, the highest scoring poets receive a prize. Frequency came to UNC on the last stop of her book tour promoting her poetry collection, Becoming Black. Look out for more UPC events coming up this week before we approach finals. Here at BearNews, we've got the scoop on music, movies, and television. Zoe Campbell joins us in the studio to bring you this week's entertainment news.
Thanks, Ashley. The music world mourns following the death of the Swedish musician, DJ, and producer Tim Berglig, better known by his stage name Avicii. According to his representative, the 28-year-old DJ died of unknown causes in Muscat, Oman. His hometown of Stockholm, Sweden, paid tribute to the late musician, and artists including Joe Jonas, Calvin Harris, and DJ Kygo paid tribute with performances. Avicii was very popular in the electronic dance music genre and produced the hit song Wake Me Up in 2013. He also worked with other acts like David Guetta and Coldplay to produce chart-topping hits. Elsewhere in the world of entertainment, comedian and stunt performer Verne Troyer died last week at age 49. He's best known for his role as Mini-Me in the Austin Powers films, but he also appeared in the films Men in Black and Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. In more music news, Ariana Grande made her return to the music scene with the release of a single called No Tears Left to Cry. This release was special to both singer and her fans because this is Grande's first project following the deadly bombings at her concert in Manchester, England last year that killed 22 people. Shortly after the single's release on streaming platforms, she released the accompanying music video. The song vaguely alludes to the Manchester tragedy and her personal journey of healing from the terrifying events. She surprised fans with a live performance at the Coachella Music Festival. And finally, in television news, you can say goodbye to Scandal as the popular television series had its finale last Thursday. Written by Shonda Rhimes, the drama series went on for 7 seasons and was nominated for many television awards. Scandal is one of the most popular shows on social media as thousands of fans tweeted for the show's duration. Scandal is just one of 3 shows Shonda Rhimes shows that airs during ABC's primetime television hours. If you're sad about Scandal's ending, well, not to worry, because Grey's Anatomy has just been renewed for another season. This will be the show's 15th season. You can tune in to ABC every Thursday to watch all of your favorite Shonda Rhimes shows. And that does it for this week's entertainment news. Back to you.
Thanks, Zoe. Coffee and college seem to go hand in hand, but one popular coffee chain is in hot water. Activists called for a boycott against Starbucks after police arrested 2 black men on trespassing charges while waiting for their friend at a Philadelphia location without buying anything. BearNews reporter Sarah Methuselah asked students if they're planning on getting their coffee at Starbucks following the controversy.
I'm Sarah Methuselah reporting from the University Center, asking students if they still plan to buy their coffee from Starbucks.
I think it's important that they're taking the necessary measures to teach their employees how to be correct morally and ethically, and I don't think that by responding in the way that they did was anyway some big issue that needed to be so blown up.
No, I don't think I will.
I don't think so. That is really not okay.
It was just one person that made a mistake, and I'm not going to criminalize the whole chain for it.
No, I don't normally drink at Starbucks as it is, but yeah, no, I wouldn't go there.
Reporting from the University Center, I'm Sarah Methuselah, BearNews.
Starbucks plans to close 8,000 U.S. locations on May 29th to educate employees about racial biases. And that concludes our last show of the semester.
We'd like to take this moment to congratulate all of the seniors ending their time at UNC this spring. As they always say, once a bear, always a bear.
Thank you for joining us this semester, and we hope you'll join us again in the fall.
Until then, visit our website, BearNews.tv, where you can find links to our Twitter and Instagram, catch all of our previous episodes, and read more about the stories we cover.
Be sure to follow us, and have a great summer, Bears.